The arena shook with a roar of thousands. Alien voices filled the air, sharp, deep, hissing, clicking. Every seat was taken, every eye focused on the circle of stone at the center. It was not just a fight. It was entertainment, a show of dominance. Today, the galaxy wanted blood, and at the center stood a human girl. She looked no older than 17. Small frame, plain clothes, no armor, no weapon. Her hands hung loosely by her sides. She said nothing. She did not cry. She did not beg. Her silence was louder than the noise of the crowd. The aliens laughed. She is too small. Her bones will snap like sticks. Humans are weak. Always crying, always breaking. They had brought her here as a joke, a final insult to the human race. Humanity had already suffered. Their colonies were destroyed, their fleets shattered. And now, this girl, this silent, fragile thing, was thrown into the arena to face the galaxy's chosen champion. The champion was no ordinary fighter. He was a giant warrior from the Varkan race. His armor was heavy, made of plates forged from molten stone. His fists were the size of hammers. He had crushed dozens before. Today, he would crush a human child. The crowd howled with excitement. Bets were made. Drinks were raised. Some laughed so hard their voices cracked. To them, this fight was not about challenge. It was about humiliation. But the girl did not react. She stood still, her face calm, her eyes steady. Does she not fear? Hissed a long-necked Saraxi in the stands. She is frozen, laughed another, paralyzed with terror. The announcer's voice thundered across the arena. Today, the trial of strength. Varkan champion versus the last human girl. The gates slammed shut. The warrior stepped forward, his heavy boots cracking the stone beneath him. The ground trembled with each step. He raised his armored fist high into the air and roared, a deep sound that echoed across the stadium. The crowd roared back, but the girl said nothing. She only tilted her head slightly, as if studying him. The fight began. The champion charged, faster than expected for his size. His armored fist came down like a falling mountain. Dust exploded into the air, stone cracked, the arena floor shook. The alien screamed with joy. It is over. It is over already. But when the dust cleared, the girl was not broken. She stood just a step away, untouched. The crowd went silent for a heartbeat, confused. How had she moved? None had seen it. One blink, and she was there, safe, calm, still silent. The warrior snarled, embarrassed. He swung again, harder, faster. His fists slammed into the ground, into the walls, tearing through stone like paper. But every time the dust cleared, the girl was not there. She moved, but no one saw how. It was not rage that showed on her face. Not fear, only stillness. The aliens began to whisper. Did you see her move? No, she was just gone. Is this some human trick? The Varkan champion roared louder, his pride wounded. He raised both fists and slammed them down with the force of a meteor. The arena floor cracked open, stone flying like shrapnel. The sound shook the seats. The crowd screamed again, certain it was done. But as the dust lifted, she was still standing. This time, just behind him, the warrior froze. Slowly, he turned his head. Her eyes were calm, unblinking. She had not run. She had not stumbled. She had simply appeared there. The audience was no longer laughing. Something shifted in the air. The girl finally moved, not fast, not violent, just a single step forward. Her hand rose, small and pale against the giant's dark armor. The champion swung at her again, but too late. Her fist touched his chest plate, a soft strike compared to the thunder of his blows. But the sound that followed was not soft. Crack! The crowd gasped as the massive armor caved inward. The champion staggered, air rushing from his lungs. He fell to one knee, eyes wide, unable to breathe. One strike. Just one. The alien stared in shock. This was not possible. She was human. She was weak. She was nothing. And yet, the strongest warrior in the arena was down on the floor, clutching his chest, defeated. The silence in the stands was heavier than any roar. The girl lowered her hand. She did not smile. She did not raise her voice. She only stood still, silent, waiting. The announcer struggled to speak, his voice trembling. Tita the winner. The crowd began to murmur, not with laughter, but with fear. Impossible. She should not be able to. What is she? The warrior lay broken, unable to rise. The girl remained calm, her eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for something. And then she turned her gaze downward to the dust at her feet. With the tip of her shoe, she drew a single line in the dirt. Slowly, carefully, she pressed the line deeper until the stone cracked beneath it. It was a warning, not in words, not in threats, but in silence. The audience understood. The arena did not roar this time. It whispered. The silence was heavier than any cheer, and the air carried a strange tension. Thousands of eyes watched the human girl, and for the first time, no one laughed. The champion of the Varkan still knelt on the ground, clutching his broken chest plate. His breath came in painful gasps. His eyes, once full of rage, were wide with shock. A single strike had crushed him. A single strike from a girl they had called weak. The announcer stuttered, his words trembling. Tita Victor, the human. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in panic. "This is a trick," shouted a horned alien. "Impossible. She cheated," cried another. "No human can do this." Guards rushed forward, armored and armed with shock spears. They surrounded the girl, weapons crackling with energy. The crowd leaned forward, eager now to see the truth revealed. If she resisted, they would kill her. If she obeyed, they would tear away the mystery. But the girl did nothing. She stood silently as the guards approached. One of them, a tall insectoid with a jagged mandible, stepped closer and jabbed his spear at her shoulder. The weapon sparked, a bolt of energy striking her flesh. The crowd gasped in delight, waiting for her to collapse. She did not move. The guard pulled back his weapon, confused. The girl's skin was untouched. No burn, no scar, nothing. The insectoid hesitated, his mandibles clicking nervously. Then, without warning, the girl's hand shot up. Not fast in the way the crowd expected, but so smoothly, so simply, that it felt unnatural. She touched the spear, no more than a brush of her fingers. Snap! The weapon shattered, falling to pieces on the ground. The guard stumbled back, his eyes wide with terror. The crowd screamed, some in awe, others in fury. This was no trick. This was real. "Stop her!" shouted a reptilian noble from the royal balcony. "She is dangerous." More guards charged. 10, 20, 30 of them, weapons raised. The girl remained silent, her face unreadable. They came from every direction, their weapons flashing with light, their boots pounding the stone floor. And then she moved. It was not the movement of a soldier. It was not training, not technique. It was something else entirely. She walked through them like wind through tall grass. Her hands rose and fell, barely striking, barely touching, yet every guard she brushed collapsed. Some fell unconscious instantly. Others screamed, clutching broken weapons or shattered armor. The crowd could not follow her. Their eyes were too slow. One moment the guards were standing. The next, they were lying scattered across the arena floor. It took less than 10 heartbeats. When it was done, the girl stood alone again. Her breathing was calm, her body relaxed, as if nothing had happened. Around her, 30 trained warriors groaned in the dust, their weapons broken. The arena was silent. Up in the high balcony, the Varkan lord clenched his fists. He was the one who had called for this fight, who had chosen the human girl as a joke, as humiliation for her species. Now his face burned with rage and fear. "This ends now," he growled. He turned to his council. "Send in the beast." The crowd gasped. Whispers spread like fire. "The beast? Here? Against her? She is only a girl." "No, she is more. That's why they send it." The arena gates trembled. A low growl rumbled from the shadows behind them. Chains clanged. Metal groaned. The ground shook with heavy footsteps. And then it emerged. The beast. It was larger than the Varkan warrior, larger than any creature the arena had seen. Its skin was covered in black plates, its jaws wide enough to swallow a man whole. Its eyes glowed red with fury, and saliva dripped from its sharp fangs. The crowd fell silent in awe and terror. The human girl did not move. She watched it calmly, her silence unbroken. The beast roared, a sound so powerful it shook the stands. The crowd clutched their ears. Dust fell from the ceiling. Even the guards outside the arena staggered. The girl remained still. The chains broke. The beast charged. Each step was like thunder, its claws tearing deep lines into the stone. Its mouth opened wide, rows of jagged teeth gleaming. The audience screamed, sure this was the end. But the girl simply stepped forward. Just once. The beast's jaws closed around her, its teeth clamping down. The crowd roared in triumph. Finally, the human was gone. Finally, the nightmare was over. But then, a sound. Crack. The beast froze. Its red eyes widened. Slowly, terribly, its jaws opened. The girl stood there, untouched. Her small hands gripped its teeth, holding them apart with effortless strength. The crowd fell into silence again. The girl pushed. Not with rage, not with struggle, just with calm, steady force. The beast's head twisted. Bones snapped. The creature howled once, then collapsed, its body crashing to the ground, lifeless. The arena shook with the impact. The girl stood above it, silent as ever. Her calm eyes swept the crowd once more. For the first time in centuries, the arena was not filled with laughter. It was filled with fear. The aliens no longer mocked her. They no longer called her weak. They whispered something else now. What is she? She is not human. No, she is something more. The girl turned and walked toward the gate, leaving the broken beast behind. She did not wait for applause. She did not bow for victory. She simply left, silent as ever. But her silence was not weakness. It was a promise. And the galaxy felt the weight of that promise. The arena gates slammed shut behind her. The girl walked through the dark stone corridors, her footsteps soft, almost too quiet for the guards following her. None of them dared come close. Not after what they had seen. Behind her, the crowd was still roaring, not with laughter now, but with panic. Some shouted for her death. Others demanded her release. Many simply sat in silence, unable to understand what they had witnessed. The champion had fallen. The guards had fallen. The beast had fallen. And the girl, she had not spoken a single word. The Varkan Lord watched from his high balcony, his clawed hands trembling with fury. His council whispered among themselves. This should not be possible. She is human. Humans are weak. No, not this one. She is dangerous. The Lord slammed his fist against the railing. Dangerous? She is a child. But even as he spoke, he felt a strange unease inside him. He had seen thousands of battles, countless warriors. Never once had a human frightened him. Until now, the girl was taken into the holding chambers. The guards locked the doors, their hands shaking. One of them whispered, "What if the locks don't hold?" No one answered. News spread quickly. Within hours, whispers reached every corner of the city. Did you hear? The human girl. They say she broke the champion with one strike. No, not just the champion. The beast too. Impossible. I saw it. I was there. She didn't even sweat. The rumors grew with every telling. Some said she had the strength of a god. Others claimed she was a weapon made in secret human labs. A few even whispered that she was not human at all. The alien streets filled with fear. Merchants pulled down their banners. Soldiers tightened their patrols. Even the shadows seemed to hold their breath. In the council chamber of the Varkan Lord, the nobles gathered, their voices trembling. She must be destroyed, hissed a scaled minister. If she lives, she will bring chaos, growled another. Perhaps, whispered a third. Perhaps she is the weapon humanity has hidden all along. A weapon disguised as a child. The Lord glared at them. Weapons bleed. Weapons can be broken. She will be tested again. The chamber fell silent. No one dared argue. In her cell, the girl sat on the cold stone floor. Her hands rested on her knees. Her breathing was calm. She had not spoken since her capture. She had not demanded release. She had not begged. She had not even asked why she was here. She was simply waiting. One guard, unable to control his fear, shouted at her through the bars. "Who are you? What are you?" The girl lifted her eyes. For a moment, Her gaze met his. The guard stumbled back, his throat tightening. He felt as if her silence was heavier than words, as if her eyes carried answers he was not ready to hear. He fled the chamber. Outside the cell, a group of alien officers argued. "We cannot keep her here. The city will riot. If we kill her, the humans will strike back. Then what do we do?" Before they could answer, the council's messenger entered. His voice was low, steady, but his hands shook as he read the order. "The Lord commands, she is to fight again." The officers stared at each other in disbelief. "Another fight? With what? She has already crushed everything we had." The messenger hesitated. Not everything. The meaning was clear. There was something else. Something darker. Something even the arena feared to release. The next day, the arena filled once more. The seats overflowed, not with laughter this time, but with nervous anticipation. The girl was let out again, her wrists bound in glowing chains. She did not resist. She did not speak. The crowd whispered as she walked across the arena floor. "That's her. She doesn't even look strong. Don't be fooled. She killed the beast." "Then what can stop her?" The announcer's voice shook as he spoke. "Today, the human faces the shade." The arena gates opened. From the shadows, something moved. Slow at first, then faster. A dark shape emerged, its body shifting like smoke, its claws long and sharp, its face hidden in endless shadow. The shade was not flesh. It was not beast. It was something else, something that had devoured warriors for centuries and left no bones behind. The crowd shivered. No one cheered. The girl stood still, her face calm. The shade hissed, its voice like whispers of the dead. It circled her, its claws scraping against the ground. Chains of black mist wrapped around its body, pulsing with strange power. The girl's silence pressed against the air once more. And then, the shade struck. Its claws slashed faster than lightning, tearing across the arena. Dust exploded into the air. The crowd gasped, waiting to see blood. But as the dust cleared, the girl was still standing. Unmoved, unharmed. The shade hissed again, this time louder. Its shadowy body rose higher, towering over her. The crowd could feel the fear pressing into their bones. The girl lifted her hand, slowly, calmly, and for the first time, the shade froze. Not because it was struck, not because it was overpowered, but because it felt something it had never felt in centuries of devouring life. It felt fear. In the stands, nobles trembled. Warriors gripped their weapons. The Varkan lord himself leaned forward, his claws digging into the railing. "What is she?" he whispered. The answer came not from the girl, but from the silence of the arena. She was not weak. She was not prey. She was something the galaxy had never seen before. And the shade, the monster of shadows, was about to learn that truth. The arena fell silent. No one cheered. No one laughed. All eyes were fixed on the dark creature circling the girl. The shade hissed, its form twisting like smoke in the wind. Its claws scraped across the stone floor, leaving trails of black fire. Every creature in the stands felt its hunger, an endless hunger that had devoured thousands before. The girl stood still, silent. Her eyes followed the shade, but she did not move. The crowd leaned forward. Some whispered, "She cannot win this time. The shade has killed champions for centuries. She is finished." But others said nothing. They remembered the beast. They remembered the champion. They remembered how silence had hidden strength. The shade struck first. Its body blurred, vanishing in a mist, reappearing behind her in a blink. Its claws came down, aiming to tear her in two. The ground shook with the force. Dust filled the air. The crowd gasped. But when the dust cleared, the girl was gone. The shade snarled, its shadowy head whipping left and right. And then it froze. She stood behind it, untouched, silent, her chains broken and lying on the ground. She had moved faster than the eye could follow. The crowd erupted in chaos. Some screamed in fear. Others shouted in disbelief. Even the nobles on the high balcony leaned forward, their faces pale. The shade roared. Black tendrils lashed out, striking everywhere at once. Stone cracked. Fire sparked. The air filled with choking smoke. But the girl kept walking, calm, unhurried. Each tendril that struck her snapped like brittle glass. Each claw that reached for her dissolved into nothing before touching her skin. The shade shrieked louder, its form swelling, its shadows stretching high above the arena walls. It grew larger, darker, heavier. The sky itself seemed to darken with it. The girl finally stopped. She lifted her hand again, slow, deliberate. The shade lunged. The ground cracked. The air screamed. The arena shook. And then, her hand touched its chest. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the arena was filled with light. Blinding white light erupted from her palm, cutting through the shade's black form like fire through paper. The shadows screamed, twisting, writhing, clawing at the air as if trying to escape. The crowd shielded their eyes. Nobles fell to their knees. Even the Varkin lord staggered back, his chest tight with terror. The shade shrieked, a sound so sharp and hollow that it felt like glass shattering in every ear. Its body cracked, splitting apart, streams of shadow flying into the air. And then, in a single, final flash, the shade was gone. Nothing remained. No smoke, no claws, no darkness, only silence. The girl lowered her hand. She did not look at the crowd. She did not smile. She simply stood there, calm as ever, her breathing steady. The silence in the arena was unbearable. Thousands of eyes stared at her. No one dare move. Finally, a single voice broke the silence. She destroyed it. Another whispered, "The shade is gone." A third shouted, "She killed the unkillable." The whispers grew, louder and louder, until the arena roared with fear. Not laughter, not cheers, only fear. Monster, demon, she is not human. But deep in the chaos, one voice said what everyone secretly knew. She is stronger than all of us. High above, the Varkin lord gripped the railing, his claws digging so deep they cracked the stone. "This is impossible," he muttered. "No creature can kill the shade, not even gods." One of his council whispered, trembling, "Then perhaps she is beyond gods." The Lord's face twisted with rage and fear. "She is a threat, a human weapon. If the galaxy learns of her, humanity will rise above us all." The council fell silent. They knew the truth. The girl's silence was more dangerous than armies. Her strength was not strength alone. It was mystery, and mystery was power. In her chamber later, guards placed her back into chains, though they all knew the chains were useless. None dared meet her eyes. One guard whispered to another, "Why doesn't she speak?" The other shook his head. "Because she doesn't need to." The girl sat once more on the cold floor, silent, calm, her eyes closed. But across the city, whispers spread like fire. The shade is dead. The human girl destroyed it. Nothing can stop her. Merchants closed their shops. Soldiers deserted their posts. Priests called her cursed. Children whispered her name like a legend. The galaxy had seen power before, but never like this. Far away, in a hidden chamber deep inside the Varkin stronghold, the Lord gathered his secret council. "This cannot leave our world," he growled. "If humans know what they hold, the balance of power will be broken." One alien minister shook his head. "It is already broken." The Lord slammed his fist down. "Then we break her before she breaks us." The chamber fell into silence. They all knew the truth. The silent human girl was no longer just a prisoner. She was a storm, and storms could not be contained. The galaxy trembled with whispers. The shade was gone. In every marketplace, in every tavern, in every shadowed corner, the same story spread. A human girl killed the unkillable. No one laughed at humans now. No one called them fragile or weak. Instead, fear filled every word. If one girl could crush the galaxy's strongest warrior and destroy the eternal shade, then what power slept inside the rest of her kind? And yet she never spoke. Her silence was louder than any scream. High above the city, the Varkin lord stared out from his palace window. His claws tapped the glass as he listened to his counsel. "She is dangerous," one minister said. "If word spreads too far, the human colonies will rise again. Armies will rally behind her name." Already, another added, Species whisper of rebellion. They say if a human girl can kill the shade, maybe the Varkan are not as strong as they claim. The Lord growled. His eyes burned with hatred. We cannot let her live. Kill her before the legend grows. But silence followed. None of them moved. None of them volunteered. They had seen what she did to the shade. They had seen her hand glow with light that tore through darkness itself. Finally, one whispered, "How do you kill something that fear itself cannot touch?" The Varkan Lord's claws tightened. He knew they could not kill her in open combat. Not with warriors. Not with weapons. So he chose another path. The plan was set. That night, in her chamber, the girl sat cross-legged, chains once again locked around her wrists. She did not resist. She did not move. Her eyes were half closed, as if she were listening to something far away. The guards outside shifted uneasily. The hall was too quiet. And then, the door opened. A priest entered, his robe heavy with gold, his face hidden under a hood. He carried no weapon, only a small bowl of black liquid that glowed faintly. "This is no warrior," one guard whispered. "No," said the other, "this is worse." The priest stepped forward. His voice echoed like a hiss, the silence instant. He raised the bowl, speaking words older than the empire itself. The black liquid floated upward, twisting into the air like smoke, coiling into a serpent of shadow. The serpent struck. It wrapped around the girl's body, its dark coils squeezing, trying to crush her chest. The air grew colder. Frost spread across the walls. The guards stepped back, fear in their eyes. The serpent's whispers filled the room. Die, fade, vanish. For the first time, the girl's eyes opened wide. Her chest shook. Her lips parted, as if she might finally scream. The priest smiled under his hood. "Yes, feel fear. You're only a child. Your silence will break." But then, her eyes changed. Not fear, not pain. Fire. Pure, white fire glowed from within them. The serpent shuddered. Its body cracked. Its whispers turned to screams. The girl lifted her hand, slow, calm, and touched the serpent's coil. In an instant, the shadow exploded into light. The walls shook, the ceiling cracked, the priest staggered back, his hood falling. His face was twisted in terror as the black bowl in his hand shattered. The serpent was gone. The girl still said nothing, but she looked directly at the priest. And for the first time, someone understood what her silence truly meant. She wasn't silent because she was weak. She was silent because words were not needed. The priest fell to his knees, trembling. You are not human. You are something greater." The guards ran. The door burst open. Soldiers stormed in with blades raised. But before they could strike, the girl stood. The chains on her wrists broke like paper. She raised her hand, and the light spread again. The soldiers dropped their weapons. Some screamed. Others fell to the floor, blinded by terror. The girl walked past them, her bare feet touching the cold stone. She did not hurry. She did not look back. The priest whispered after her, "Storm, she is the storm." The city erupted into chaos. Bells rang. Soldiers filled the streets. The Varkan Lord shouted commands, demanding her capture. But it was too late. The people had already seen her walking through the streets. Silent, unstoppable. Some fell to their knees in worship. Others fled in terror. But no one doubted anymore. The storm had broken free. From the palace, the Varkan Lord watched flames spread in the distance. His empire shook. His people whispered rebellion. "She will destroy us all," one minister cried. "She will destroy everything," another said. The Lord's face twisted. "Then we must unleash the last weapon. If she is the storm, then we will summon the fire that burns storms away." The council fell silent. They knew what he meant. The forbidden machine. The weapon that even the Varkan feared. One whispered, "If we use it, we destroy the city itself." The Lord growled, "Better the city than the galaxy." And far below, as soldiers scrambled and citizens screamed, the silent girl stood at the city's heart. She raised her head to the sky, her face calm, her eyes glowing faintly in the night. She said nothing, but the world already knew. The storm was only beginning. The night sky split apart. From the palace roof, the Varkan Lord raised his claws toward the heavens. Lightning tore through the air as ancient machines, buried deep beneath the city, awakened. The ground rumbled like thunder. Towers cracked, bridges snapped, people screamed. The forbidden weapon was alive. The devourer whispered a minister, his voice shaking. We swore never to use it. It feeds on life itself. It spares no one, not even our own. But the Lord's eyes burned with madness. Better the city burn than the galaxy bow to a silent girl. And below, at the heart of the streets, she stood. The human girl, 17, small, barefoot, silent. Flames danced around her, smoke rose into the sky, yet she did not move. Her eyes, glowing faintly, followed the lightning above. The people around her knelt. Some prayed. Some simply stared. All felt the same truth. This was no ordinary human. This was the storm itself. The ground split open. From beneath the earth, a monstrous machine crawled upward. Black metal twisted like bone, its many eyes glowing red. Its mouth opened wide, not with teeth but with spinning blades. Its roar shook the city, louder than thunder. The devourer had awakened. The Varkan Lord raised his arm high, pointing toward the girl. Erase her. The devourer lunged. The girl did not run. She closed her eyes. Silence fell, heavy and endless. Even the crowd stopped breathing. And then her hand lifted. A glow spread across her skin, brighter, stronger than before. It was not the glow of fire, not the glow of lightning. It was something older, something deeper. The devourer's blade spun. Its red eyes focused on her. It charged, each step shaking the ground, crushing stone beneath its weight. And still, she stood calm. At the last moment, when its jaws came crashing down, her eyes opened. White fire burst from her hand. The light struck the devourer with such force that its body shuddered, its black armor cracking. Screams echoed, not from the machine, but from the energy that powered it. The souls it had devoured over centuries cried out as the light tore them free. The devourer staggered. The girl took a single step forward. Chains of light spread from her body, wrapping around the machine, pulling it down. Its blade shrieked, spinning wildly. Its roar turned into a dying howl. With one final movement, she thrust her hand upward. The devourer exploded. Shards of black metal rained down like dead stars. The sky lit up brighter than day. The crowd gasped. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Ministers fell to their knees. On the palace roof, the Varkan Lord stared in horror. His greatest weapon, his last hope, was nothing but dust. And she was still standing. Her silence was no longer weakness. It was command. Every heart felt it. Every soul obeyed it. But the Lord refused to bow. His claws tightened around his blade. Rage burned in his eyes. No, I will not fall to a child. He leapt from the palace roof, his armored wings spreading wide. He landed in front of her, towering above. His blade crackled with black fire. You think you are the storm? He snarled. I am the end of storms. He lunged. The blade cut through the air, but the girl moved faster. Her hand rose, glowing white, and the blade shattered on contact. The Lord roared, striking again with his claws. Sparks flew as his armor clashed against her light. The ground shook with every blow. Yet she did not fight like a warrior. She did not swing, did not strike, did not rage. She only moved when she needed to. Calm, silent, inevitable. And with each strike, the Lord grew weaker. His rage turned to desperation. His power faltered. Finally, she stepped forward. Her hand pressed against his chest. For a moment, the world went still. No sound, no fire, no thunder. Then, light burst outward. The Lord screamed as cracks spread across his body. His armor broke, his wings tore apart, and with one last cry, he fell. The storm had ended him. Silence returned. The girl stood over his fallen body. The city was in ruins, yet alive. The devourer was gone. The Lord was dead. The people were free. She raised her head, looking at the countless eyes watching her. Still, she said nothing. But in that silence, the galaxy heard everything. The weak had risen. The fragile had crushed the strong. The silent had spoken louder than all. Days later, the story spread across the stars. They whisper to the human girl who never spoke, who crushed the shade, who broke the devourer, who ended the Varkin Lord. Aliens no longer laughed at humans. They wept instead because they understood. If one human girl could do this, then humanity was not a race to mock. Humanity was a storm waiting to rise. And she, the silent girl, was only the beginning.